to as God or the universe, or you can apply any label there. Okay, you could say universe, you could say consciousness. Okay, if you look at it like a computer, you can say that the first thing, right, is the conscious mind. That's your processor. You process all your thoughts, thousands of them every day, right? Okay, so we can call that your operating system. Okay, your hard drive is your subconscious, where all the programs are stored. Okay, now the superconscious is the network that we're all plugged into. Okay, now you may wonder, like, okay, well, what does that mean and how does it work? Well, when you think about somebody and you think about them over and over, start thinking about that one person for a little while, and then you run into them in the mall, right? Coincidence? I don't know, right? You get that feeling you need to make that right hand turn, but you ignore it because you have free will. And then you get stuck in the traffic jam and you go, I knew I should have turned back there, right? Because you had that feeling, because you did know. You actually did know. So, coincidence or superconscious? Okay. Because God is real, okay, but not everybody calls it God. Some people call it consciousness. Some people call it, right, the unseen, infinite intelligence. Everybody has their own label for that. Okay, so we don't want to tell you how to believe. We're not here to tell you how to believe. We're here to share with you some things about being human, things that you can do things about, okay? Things that you can affect in your life to make your life better, to make your life more pleasant, to make your life something to enjoy rather than something to endure, okay, in the negative sense. Okay, so let's look at the different brainwave states. Yesterday, I said that we would get to this this week, so I thought, well, today is probably a good time. So now, delta waves, when your brain is in delta wave state, okay, that's the lowest vibration for your brain, okay? And delta waves are zero point 0.1 to like 4 hertz, and this is when you're in deep sleep, okay? We can say unconsciousness, okay? We can say, you are not aware at that point because you're in deep sleep. So those are delta waves. Regeneration is also important for delta waves. It regenerates the body. When you get a cut on your hand, okay, or anywhere you get a wound, right? Delta waves are important because they start to heal your body. They give your body time to heal. Okay, so physical healing, immune function increases, all these things, cellular regeneration. Okay, whether you believe it or not, or whether you know so or not, or whatever, your body constantly rebuilds itself, constantly. Okay, so after a few years, you have an entirely different body at the cellular level. Okay, but why is this? How come everybody doesn't just feel brand new all the time and go living forever? Well, it's because we have habits. Okay, so the habits are formed in the subconscious, right? And depending on your habits, you affect the cells the same way. So if you're constantly doing the same things that are killing your cells, when you get new cells, guess what happens? That happens, okay? And we all have that. We all have certain habits that do that, okay? Some of us don't get enough sleep. Some of us drink too much coffee. Yeah, my ADHD brain requires coffee all the time just to keep focused. But anyway, that's what delta wave states do. Okay, now theta waves are a little bit different. Okay, now we come up one more level. So you're talking 4 to 8 hertz with theta waves. Now, theta brainwave state, okay, is a relaxed state. Unlike delta, which is deep sleep, okay, that's like way down there, deep sleep. Okay, theta waves, you're awake, okay? And it's light sleep sometimes, like taking a nap kind of thing, deep meditation, theta waves. Now, theta waves are important for manifestation, okay? Or let's say it another way, for achieving goals, okay? Because this is when your brain, your subconscious actually, your brain tells your subconscious, hey, we're going to do this, your conscious mind, okay, tells your subconscious, right, what to do and starts installing those programs. It's the easiest state. So this happens when you first wake up in the morning or when you just get to bed at night and you're fully relaxed, okay? So, this is like also when you're dreaming. When you're dreaming, REM sleep, okay, you're in theta state. Now, when you're in REM sleep, you can't do your affirmations. You're dreaming, right? Okay. Rapid eye movement is REM, by the way, just in case people, what's REM sleep, Uncle? Okay. Rapid eye movement. So your eyes go back and forth during REM sleep. And REM sleep is very important because it's good quality sleep. Okay. People that don't get REM sleep get exhausted during the day. Okay, so that's important. That's like a side note. Okay, but what are these theta brainwave states important for? Creativity, intuition, okay, emotional insight, okay, emotional intelligence. Also, it's your subconscious is more open to suggestions at that point, and this is why you want to write your affirmation first thing in the morning when you get up. So what I do is I have mine right next to my bed. Okay, this is a one that's done already. Okay, but these are affirmations. These are affirmations. This is not journaling. These are affirmations. So right when I get up, right, I reach for my pen and my handy pen over here. Okay, I am so happy and grateful now that whatever I'm working on, now that I have 4 clients this week, thank you. Now that I have an extra $100 this month, thank you. Now that whatever your goal is, right? It doesn't have to be a material goal. I am so happy and grateful now that I am in love. Thank you. Right? And then you meet somebody, and then, whoa, I've done that many times. I've done that many times. It works. The other thing we did way back in the day on the radio, we did this experiment, right? Where we would write down specifically what kind of girl we wanted to meet. Okay, we had 3 guys in the studio, and that's why it was girls, right? It works for women too. So if you want to meet a guy, start writing all the details. You have to be specific, okay? Because if you just say you want a good looking guy, he might be good looking, but, right? Fill in the blank over there. But, yeah, it could be something negative over there, right? On that side. So be specific, okay? So just write it down. Be specific. And it goes into your subconscious if you're doing it first thing in the morning, okay? Now, what I recommend to my clients is to also read it out loud, okay, right before you go to bed. And why is this important? Because your subconscious is receptive. Your brain is in theta wave state, okay? So that's theta waves. Also, it's also accessed in deep meditation, because when you're meditating, you're not asleep. Okay, so delta waves, right? You're asleep. Okay, with theta waves, you're not asleep. You're thinking. Okay. And the other thing about meditation, now that I mentioned it, I just want to remind you, meditation is not about not thinking. So many people think that. They go, well, I can't meditate. I'm like, why can't you meditate? Oh, when I meditate, I get all these thoughts. And okay, you're supposed to have thoughts, okay? Otherwise, your brain is dead, okay? So, but here's the thing, right? Seriously, here's the thing, right? I like to joke around. I spent years as a comedian. But here's the thing. You want to be able to observe your thoughts without being attached to your thoughts. How does that work? Well, you want to be able to, okay, here comes that thought. I'm thinking of the beach, okay? Okay, let it go. Now I'm thinking of the mountains, okay? Let it go. Don't attach to it, okay? Because what happens when you attach? Well, you have the thought about the mountains, okay? Now you think about a specific mountain, your favorite mountain. Now you see the trails. Now, you see what I'm saying? Now you're attached to that thought, okay? Or that topic. The thought represents the topic. And now you're thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, okay? You want to be in the awareness state where you just observe it going by. Observe the thought. Don't touch the thought. Leave it alone. Just allow it to pass, okay? There you go. Now, alpha wave states, 8 to 12 hertz, okay? Alpha. This is when you're calm but you're awake, okay? This is bridging the gap between conscious thinking and subconscious awareness. Okay, it's kind of like in the middle. Okay, it occurs when you're calm but awake. Okay, let's say you in a self-discipline kind of state, right, where you have control over everything. Okay, It's like daydreaming almost. You're aware, okay? Your mind is alert. You're aware, okay? But you're in alpha state. Okay, now this is ideal for relaxed learning. Okay, when you're accumulating knowledge, like when you're studying for an exam or you're studying for a test or you're just curious. You're just researching. You're just doing, researching knowledge. Okay. So this is also associated with stress reduction, okay, because it reduces stress, mental coordination, things like that. Okay, learning, all kinds of learning. Okay, so just remember learning. I think it's the easiest one. Mindfulness. Okay, when you're doing yoga, same thing. Mindfulness. Okay, or flow states. Now, flow states are what I teach my professionals, what I call high performance professionals. The only reason I call them that is because they have jobs that are very, very stressful. They have jobs where they're, supervising many people. They're responsible. They have a lot of responsibilities. And so I teach them flow state. And when they acquire flow state, they start performing in alpha brainwave state. Okay? Flow state, it kind of looks like this. The tasks come like this, and you just receive them like this, and boom, and you're in flow. You're doing things in flow. Now, I also recommend to my professionals that they stay in alpha state for at least an hour and a half in the morning, first thing in the morning. So we have this thing that we go through with them. It's too long to describe here, but we have this process that we go through. Part of it is vocal expression, okay, expressing tones very strongly with the voice, okay, and we get them all the way down into alpha state, okay, or up, depending on how you look at it. If you just wake up, you're going up into alpha, okay, and then they acquire flow state. Okay, when people ask me, they always, I got these young kids that always ask me, Uncle, how did you do all these things? How did you start all these businesses? How did you do all this stuff? And I said, flow state. And when they ask me, how do you do flow state? When I explain it to them, they go, oh, like it's too much work. Well, you can either do the work up front for something, okay? I'm just going to mention this. You can do the work up front for something and then commit it to your subconscious and keep it going. Because once your body learns it better than you, it no longer becomes a chore, okay? The work is up front in the very beginning, okay? And then you turn it over to your body. Or we could say it another way. Good morning, Leo. Good morning. We could say it another way. You turn it over to your subconscious. Then your body learns to do it better than your conscious mind, okay? I point here because the frontal lobe of your brain processes all your thoughts all day long, okay? All right, so now let's go to beta wave state. Now, beta wave state is when you're alert and focused, okay, and doing active thinking, like you're at work, okay? You're at work, you're figuring something out, you're working on a problem, you're working on a situation, you're processing things. So this is problem solving, decision making, conversation, and active concentration. This is beta wave state. This is between 12 and 30 hertz, okay, when your brain is in that frequency. And speaking of frequency, right? Remember we went through all the frequencies, the positive emotions, negative emotions. So 12 to 30 hertz is not associated with brain and your mind are two separate things, okay? The brain and the mind, two very separate things. Okay, so now you use your beta wave state, okay, for tasks. You're processing tasks, you're doing things at work. You're in beta wave state. Now gamma is 30 to 100 hertz. Okay, this is top performance mode. Gamma waves, okay, when you're in gamma wave state, your brain is in gamma wave state. Now you're doing high processing. You are concentrating. This is peak mental performance, heightened perception, okay? All of that. Because your subconscious works with the superconscious, okay? And when you're in gamma wave state, okay, your brain is in peak performance mode, okay? That means you're jamming. You're getting things accomplished, okay? So it's above regular performance mode. Okay, what I do is I hyper focus, only because I have ADHD, but I hyper focus, and it doesn't last very long. Hyper focus, because think about it this way, right? You're concentrating like at maximum capacity. Your brain is in gamma state. It can only stay there so long. Okay, now if you're the kind of person that can hyper focus, everyone can hyper focus. It's just the amount of time that you can hyper focus before you give up. Okay, before you go, oh, I'm tired of focusing like that, right? So, and that's what it is, right? Now, you have also the ability to hyper focus and multitask one or two things. Three things I would think would be quite a challenge to hyper focus on. Okay. But when you hyper focus, that means you're intently focused on one thing and you go the distance, okay, maybe a couple of hours. Now, what's going to happen when you're in hyper focus mode, okay? When your brain is in gamma state, this is 30 to 100 hertz now, okay? When your brain is in that capacity or that mode, okay, what happens is you lose track of time. You ever been concentrating on something really intently, and all of a sudden you look up at the clock and you go, wow, an hour and a half went by, and it seemed like that. Why? Because you were so intently focused on something. Okay, it could be writing a paper. It could be trying to figure out a problem or a math problem or some kind of thing at work or some kind of thing at home. It doesn't matter where. It could be research. You know, they call it the rabbit hole. Hey, you could dive down a rabbit hole. And then all of a sudden you look up and you see the clock and oh my God, like an hour and a half went by already, right? So that's gamma state. When your brain is in gamma state, okay, you are at peak mental performance. Now, how long can you stay in peak mental performance? It's different for everybody, okay? Because I have ADHD, it's easier for me because the H stands for hyper in ADHD. So my brain needs a job, right? So it's easy for me to apply hyper focus with my brain to anything. I could just, direct it, okay, we're gonna do this, and then my brain just goes, right? But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't last very long. Sometimes I hyper focus for a couple of hours, sometimes 3 hours. Okay, after that, it gets kind of cloudy after that. Okay, everybody's different. Now you can build your gamma state. Okay, you can build on your gamma state. Every brainwave state you can exercise. There's even apps that help you develop these skills, okay, or maximize your brainwave states. So you can do this. This is not something only people with ADHD can do. Okay, anybody can do this. But it's like a muscle, even your subconscious. Okay, so when I have my clients, right, I always use my pen for a visual. But when I have my clients, when new clients come in, what I do is I have them write 100 positive I ams, right? I am friendly, I am courteous, I am kind, I am loyal, I am, right, generous, I am smart, whatever, 100 positive I ams. Okay, then I have them read it out loud in the mirror. Okay, why would you do that? That sounds crazy. Crazy? Yeah. Because your subconscious recognizes you above everyone else. Because your subconscious recognizes your voice above everyone else. So it works right away. You take that list of 100 I ams, okay, and you focus on that, reading that out loud in the mirror for like 4 days, maybe a week, it will transform your self-esteem. It will transform your self-esteem. Self-esteem is very important. Mm-hmm. Now, what lowers self-esteem? We talked about this yesterday, but I'm going to touch on this before we go into the subconscious, superconscious, and conscious mind and the brainwave states together. Okay, why is self-esteem so important? Because you need to think good about this one so you can think good about these. Okay? Get that? Okay? You have to think good about this so you can think good about this. You have to think good about the inside so you can think good about the outside. Okay? It's just like love. You have to love this first so you know how to love these. Okay, people, others. Okay? So humility, we've all been taught a false sense of humility. If you've been born within the last, I don't know, 40 years, 50 years, okay, you've been raised with a false sense of humility. Why? Well, plantation mentality is one thing. In Hawaii, guarantee, plantation mentality. The people, the owners of the plantations didn't want people to think. They didn't want thinkers, they wanted workers. Okay? Now, if you're talking about other countries, if you're talking about the United States, then you're talking about factory mentality. Then you're talking about, the Industrial Revolution and the factories that came up, the railroads that were being built. They all wanted manual labor. They didn't want thinkers. Okay? So what does that have to do with it? Well, because they wanted doers. So you just do it. Don't ask questions, right? Don't ask questions, just do that. Don't ask questions, just complete this task, right? So, what does that do? Well, you remember children are to be seen and not heard, okay? That kind of thing. That gets into our psyche. And what people are really not conscious or aware of is that these things are genetic. They get passed down the gene pool. Okay? They get passed down the gene pool. And I didn't learn this until I owned a horse. And when I owned a horse, I found out, wow, if you train this horse really, really well, and this horse is highly trained and real smart, it gets to be real smart. When it has babies, the babies will be real smart. So I did some research on humans and I go, wow, humans are the same way. Humans are the exact same way. Okay, so your education level, okay, is important. It doesn't matter if it's self-education or you go to college, it doesn't matter. Your accumulation of knowledge is important because it goes to your children. Your traits, right? What you've learned, what you've acquired, the knowledge that you've acquired gets passed down. You ever see that one family that every generation they kind of do the same thing, but they do it really, really well? I know a family of dentists like that. They're all dentists, or they're all involved in some aspect of dentistry, and they're really, really good at it. Like they have a knack for it. Like it comes easy for them. Okay, so be aware. Now, let's discuss the subconscious mind and the conscious mind and the superconscious and brainwave states and how they're related. Okay, so your subconscious, right, is theta and alpha brainwave states. Your subconscious, okay, because your subconscious operates mainly in the theta and alpha ranges. Okay, we're talking about the frequency ranges. Okay, theta is 4 to 8 hertz, and alpha is 8 to 12 hertz. Okay, now what does this have to do with anything? Well, in theta, that's when your subconscious is the most receptive to information. Okay, so when you're writing your affirmation in the morning, you're in theta state when you first wake up. Before you have coffee, before you engage with the world, you're in theta state. I am so happy and grateful now that I am receiving a promotion. Thank you. What does that do? Well, it sends the signal to your subconscious that that's what you're working on. Your subconscious communicates with the superconscious. They're all located in here, okay? But your subconscious will start giving you suggestions. First of all, it confirms what you're working on. It's like, oh, we're working on a new position, okay. And then you will receive intuitive thoughts from the superconscious according to your mission, according to what you're working on. And it could be the thought, right? Intuitive thought. it could be the thought that, well, maybe I need to go to night school to get some credits and get a new degree or get a degree or whatever it is to achieve that, right? Maybe I should save some money. Maybe you're buying a car or want a car, right? So you write the affirmation and you do it in theta state. And in the evening, you read it out loud in theta state. And your subconscious becomes programmed because the subconscious learns in repetition. Okay, it learns in repetition. So now that you do that, what happens? Well, now your subconscious knows what the job is or what the target is. The superconscious will start to work with your subconscious and give you ideas, intuitive thought. And you should always act on intuitive thought. And maybe the intuitive thought is, maybe I should get a side job because I want a car. Maybe I should go online and see how much these cars are. Maybe I should go and take a look at the financing and see what's involved. Maybe I should, you see, and it's endless. Okay. So there are always infinite possibilities, always infinite. Okay. So now the subconscious, right? Mostly in theta and alpha states. Okay. So we went over both states, but that's the subconscious. Now, the superconscious, okay, and the conscious subconscious bridge, okay, is in alpha. So alpha would be the if you take theta, right? So that's primary subconscious access because you're relaxed and you're writing your affirmation or you're speaking your affirmation. You can do that too if you don't want to write it. It's not going to work as good. It may not work as fast. Okay, but the fastest is affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. If you do all of these targeted at one thing or at one target, aim it all at one target, it will manifest faster. It has to. It cannot not manifest. Okay, now you could say manifest or you could say achieve a goal. Okay, it's the same thing. You manifest whether you think so or not, whether you believe it or not. I've had religious people tell me, oh, that's devil stuff. I'm like, really? Manifestation is devil stuff. And then my next question is, what about your subconscious mind? Because that's what manifestation is. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's not voodoo. It's none of those things. It's your subconscious. Okay? We were all born with those gifts. Now, some people, tend to run on their subconscious programs their whole lives. So they experience the same thing over and over and over. And they wonder why they're getting the same results. You're getting the same results because you have a habit of doing certain things, and those certain things produce certain results, right? And that's why they say the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing, expecting better results. So in order to get better results, you just have to change the things that you're doing. And in order to do that, you have to install it in the subconscious. So the subconscious operates mainly in theta and alpha ranges. Okay, so theta is relaxed. Okay, alpha is the conscious subconscious bridge. Okay, it's a relaxed yet aware state that bridges your conscious and subconscious. Okay, so this occurs during relaxation, flow state. We discussed that a little bit earlier, or light meditation. Okay, what is light meditation? You can do it at your workplace. You can just sit in your chair, close your eyes, and just be still for 10 minutes. That's all you need, 10 minutes. Observe your thoughts going by without attaching to them. It will empower you. It will empower you greatly, okay? But most people don't do it. Why? Well, they're too distracted. If they have 10 minutes, they'd rather, I don't know, do something else. Or maybe watch a show or do whatever, right? Other things that keep them busy, but not necessarily productive. It depends. It depends on what your goals are in life and what you want to do. So your alpha state, the conscious subconscious bridge, It's ideal for affirmations. Okay, it's ideal. Visualization, especially because you can visualize more vividly. Or let's say that another way, you can visualize more with your imagination, and it's more powerful in alpha wave state, in alpha brainwave state. Okay. So theta is deep subconscious, okay? Deeper subconscious access. And alpha is the gateway to calm, open states, okay? It's more ideal for focused manifestation, or let's say focused imprints on your subconscious. We could say it that way. Okay. So now what about the superconscious? Superconscious. Whoa, what is that? Well, some people call it consciousness, some people call it the network. So if you look at it like a computer, okay, in computer lingo, language, your conscious mind, there's only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Your conscious mind is the processor, okay? So we can call that your operating system. The frontal lobe of your brain that processes all these thousands of thoughts every day, all day long. Okay? You see something, it reminds you of something. You think the thought, then you let it go. Sometimes you think about it, you keep thinking about it. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay, so be careful what you keep thinking. If you need to change the thought, change it. Okay, so that's your processor. Okay, that's your operating system. Your subconscious is your hard drive where all the programs are stored. Okay, if you look at the tree, right, the tree, so the roots of the tree are your subconscious core beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm, or the way you see the world based upon the roots, based upon your subconscious core beliefs. Okay, now the fruits of the tree way up here, okay, those are the actions. Those are the actions based upon how you see the world, and how you see the world depends on what your beliefs are. Okay, and when you're born until you're about 7, sometimes 8 years old, you're just being programmed. All of your experiences, everything you see, everything you touch. Okay, so your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. It's not a state of mind. It's not a way of thinking. Okay. So when you're born, when you're a little kid, right, on your way to 7 and 8 years old, you're a sponge. That's why they say children are sponges. I teach a lot of sponges. And I put a lot of ideas into their minds, a lot of positive ideas. I tell them they can do anything they put their mind to. 3-year-olds, right? I had this lady, she wrote to me, she goes, "You're the only person that teaches 3-year-olds. The other people, you have to be 6 in order to take their class." And I'm like, well, they don't know how to teach. They're not teachers. They're not teachers. If you cannot communicate with a 3-year-old, something's wrong. Something's really wrong, okay? If you're an adult and you cannot communicate with someone who is 3 years old, something is wrong. Not with the 3-year-old. Something's wrong with you, okay? But anyway, what I think it really boils down to is not everyone has the patience to work with a 3-year-old, okay? But you have to bring yourself down to 3-year-old level, and then you have to address them as equals. And it works. Okay. They don't understand very much, but they understand muscles, air, and energy. And that's all that's necessary to change their whole life, to change everything. When you activate the energy in here, whatever you call this, you want to call this a spirit, you want to call this soul, you want to call this energy, it's all of that. Okay? But when you activate this energy that lives in here, outstanding things happen. Amazing things happen. B, good morning. Nice to see you again. Thank you. Thank you for dropping by. Good morning, Leo. Thanks, you guys. Amazing things begin to happen. I have adults that are from the military with PTSD. They get discharged. They have bad PTSD. We lower the PTSD in 3 months. In 3 months, they have full control over their PTSD. Before that, they can't go into crowded shopping centers. Before that, they can't be around too many people, right? Because their imagination takes over and it builds things into bigger, bigger than reality, bigger than it really is. Okay, and it's a real thing. PTSD is real. Okay, but it's how you pull yourself from the glass half empty to the glass half full. And we're really talking about perception. It's just perception, okay? So your superconscious, right, communicates with the subconscious. So the superconscious is your gamma state, 30 to 100 hertz. Okay, you want to call the superconscious God? You can call it God. You can put whatever label you want there, superconscious. But your subconscious works with that. It communicates with that because everything is energy. Everything in the universe is energy. You could say universe, you could say world, you can say community. Everything is energy. Everything is vibrating. Everything has a vibration. This has a vibration right here. This is my mouse. Okay, this mouse has a vibration. Okay, everything. Now, how do you raise a human's vibration? The fastest way is through their voice. The fastest way. And it's not necessarily that you're raising their vibration by having them, do anything more than push sound out really, really fast, really, really strong. What does that do? That starts to clear them here. It triggers oxytocin and endorphins. What does that do? Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Endorphin is the feel-good hormone. When those hormones begin to activate in the brain, guess what happens? You begin to calm. Guess what happens when this one is calm? When this one is calm, everything out here is calm. How does that work? How does that work, Uncle? Well, because everything out here reacts to everything in here. Okay? If you want to change your circumstances out here, it's called the universal law of correspondence. If you want to change your situation, you have to change this. When you change this, everything out here reacts to everything in here, and now everything out here is different. Why? Because this is different. This is the action. This is the reaction. The law of correspondence also tells us, right, that if you see somebody with a messy desk, they're messy in here. If their desk is chaotic, if their life is chaotic, they're either really busy in here, okay, or they're chaotic in here. Because everything out here is a reflection of them. You ever see somebody's car? You ride with somebody in their car? Do they have a messy car? Do they have the clean car? Okay. Do they just throw things around in their car? That's the way they are in here. It's very easy to see, but you have to be aware of these laws. These are universal laws. These are laws that govern the universe. Some of these laws are written in holy scriptures. They're not written the same way, but they're there. So there's only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Now, brainwave states, superconscious, gamma and delta. Okay, that's superconscious. What about conscious? Beta and alpha. Okay, remember there's a bridge. There's a bridge. Okay, subconscious, theta and alpha. Right? So do you notice something? Do you notice that from the conscious to the subconscious, there's a bridge, there's alpha? Yeah, there's a bridge there, see? Because it crosses over. And what is delta? Deep sleep. Yeah? Subconscious, alpha. It's always working. When you're sleeping, your subconscious is running your body. It's running your heartbeat, it's operating your lungs, it's operating everything. That's how you dream. Okay, so all of these things are going on without you consciously being aware of it. Okay, most people are not consciously aware of why they do the same things over and over and over, and they can't help themselves. They just do it, right? They get these same results going on over here, and they go, wow, I don't like this, I don't like this. But they can't stop doing it. It's because your subconscious learns in repetition. Human beings pick up habits like that. Okay, can you pick up good habits? Yeah, just as fast. It's just repetition. Okay, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. But you have to install these programs. Okay, and that's why the affirmation, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. When you do these 4 things, you can change any situation. My guys come to me when they start hearing the D word, the divorce word, and this is the attraction level, right? And then this is the danger zone right here. This is the danger zone. Why is it the danger zone? Because when a woman goes from here, she can go from here to here very quickly, like this. And then there's no recourse. There's no getting back. There's no fixing. There's no nothing. She's gone. Okay. But right here, okay, right here, it's still salvageable. It's still, you can salvage this, okay? You cannot salvage this. This is gone. Okay, but most men contact me when they're here. They go, oh, Junior, what can I do? What do I do? Okay, but then up here, from here to here is the attraction level that always goes up and down, always goes up and down. Okay, and they're responsible for pulling it up all the time, getting the attraction back all the time. It's an art form. You have to know how, right? When you're down here ready for the divorce to happen, what has happened up here? Why am I mentioning this? Because everything that happens here is subconscious. Everything that happens, when attraction goes like this, these are subconscious habits that are forcing it down. So you get these guys that are married once, twice, 3 times. Oh, it's gonna work this time. 3rd time, it's gonna work this time. 2nd time, it's gonna work this time. But then the same things go wrong. Why? Because they didn't fix their subconscious. It doesn't matter who the girl is. It doesn't matter. You can bring in girl number 1, girl number 2, girl number 3. It doesn't matter. Okay? You're going to repeat the same programs with the first one, with the second one, with the 3rd one. The same habits start recurring. The same things start being said. The same things start being done. And then you get from here, you get down here, and then this is the crucial point right here. So what do I do with these guys that are down here that need to salvage their relationship, that need to save half of their assets, right? Because that's what it really amounts to at that point. How am I going to save half of my everything I own, right? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It's that simple. But the hardest thing to do is to take a conditioned individual. Okay, I don't care how they get conditioned. That doesn't matter. Okay, married men get conditioned by their wives. Okay, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter. You can get conditioned by your church. You can get conditioned by your society. You can get conditioned by the television that you have. You can get conditioned by scrolling on social media. You can get conditioned by anything. Humans are very, very impressionable. People don't realize how impressionable human beings are. We are susceptible to all kinds of things, okay? It doesn't take us long to believe something. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. If you work on somebody to think a certain way for an extended period of time, it becomes a subconscious belief, okay? Remember the tree? Okay, so if it's a belief here in the subconscious, what happens? It becomes part of your paradigm, the trunk of the tree, your paradigm. Okay, up here, you have the fruits of the tree. Okay, the fruits are the actions. So you have the roots, the subconscious beliefs, right? Good morning, Jay. And then you have the paradigm, your trunk of your tree. Good morning. And and then you have the fruits over here, your actions. And the actions produce what? Consequences. Consequences. It doesn't matter who the girl is. People go around and, oh, now I have a good wife. Wife number 2, she's a good wife. Right? And then they get divorced. And then it's like, what happened? Well, I don't know. Kind of like the same with wife number 1. What really happened? Your subconscious programming was the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many wives you go through. When you repeat these patterns, you'll get the same reaction. And this is why they say insanity is repeating the same actions, doing the same thing, expecting different results or better results. Okay? And most people don't really want to take the time to work on this. All it is it's less than 12 minutes a day. 10 minutes for sitting still. Can you sit still for 10 minutes? Second question, can you write a sentence? I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. Thank you. Because when you're confident, you make better decisions. When you're confident, you're relaxed in here. This is the prison. This is the prison right here. Okay? But when you're relaxed here, when you're confident, this is clear. It's clear. When you're thinking clearly, when you're thinking concisely, when you're making good decisions, you get good results. Okay, so can you write one sentence? I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. Thank you. In the morning, and then when you return from work, you get home after your TV shows or whatever you do, right? Your podcast. Okay. Then what? Then speak it out loud before you turn off the light and go to bed. Can you do that? Okay. Can you make a vision board? Let me show you what a vision board is. This is a vision board here, and this is to remind me. See that? The how is always God's job. Every time I look at this, Mark 11:24, the how is always God's job. Okay? But then I have other vision boards that I use. So use your screensaver for things you want to accomplish. Be productive with your screensaver. Some people just put their dog, it's okay. You love your dog, okay. There you go. Okay. But let's say you wanted to drive your dog around in a new truck. Get the picture of the truck you want. Put it on your screensaver. Look at it every day. It tells your subconscious that's the target. That's what we're going for right there, the truck. What will your subconscious do? It will start giving you suggestions on how to make this truck possible. It will work with the superconscious. Okay, maybe somebody has a truck like that for sale. Maybe you don't have to buy a new one. Maybe it's a really, really good used one. Maybe it's only got 5,000 miles on it. Maybe, right? Who knows? Infinite possibilities. Okay, so the superconscious is gamma and delta states. You can look these up. Okay, conscious mind is beta and alpha states. Okay, and the subconscious is theta and alpha states. Okay, the highest is gamma. That's when you're jamming. That's when you're on a roll. That's when you're hyper focusing. But anyway, if you want a list of these, I'll be happy to provide you a list. All you have to do is email me, junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com, and I'll give you that. Is there any questions? B, do you have any questions? You want to ask me any questions or anything? I am here to help. So we were talking yesterday. We were talking a lot about frequencies, right? Frequencies in the human being. Okay, so we're talking about what are the different frequencies, and then we also talked about universal laws and stuff like that. So we talked about a lot of things this week that I'm looking at. I'm going over my notes on what we talked about, and I also wanted to share with you because I have a lot of Christians on my account. Okay, I have a lot of Christian peeps here, and I urge you to look these things up in your Bible. Okay, it's not just the law of attraction, but it's subconscious. There's a lot of subconscious quotes in your Bible, a lot of references to your subconscious in the Bible. Okay, Romans 12:2. Okay, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." What mind? The subconscious mind. How do you renew your subconscious mind? You install new beliefs. What happens? Your paradigm changes, your actions change, your results change. And this is why when people go to Bible study, their lives get better because they're installing new beliefs, productive beliefs. Now, if you don't believe in the Bible, okay. You don't have to believe per se. Okay. But if you read these things, they're very, very healthy for your subconscious. They're very, very healthy for creating new things in your life. Now, if you want abundance in your new life, okay, you have to be open. Open. So when my clients come to me, a lot of them, even the professionals, they're like this. They're closed and they have to open. So opening, this is one visual. One visual is like this and they have to open. Okay, so before you can open, you have to relax first. Okay, so we get them relaxed, open. That's the process. The fastest way to achieve that is through the human voice, producing strong tones. Okay, you can look up solfeggio tones. That will tell you a lot. It creates different chemistry in your brain. It creates different chemistry in the way of hormones, oxytocin, endorphins. It also increases GABA. It also decreases cortisol levels. Okay, and we achieved this very quickly. In 90 days, brand new person, almost. So if you do this for 63 days, if you practice a habit for 63 days, it commits it to your subconscious. It takes 63 days to create a new habit. Now, what about when you get the wrong thought? What about when you get you get a thought that, you don't really want this thought because, it's going to lead to, bad stuff, right? Let's say you have an urge to do something because it's already in your subconscious and you have an urge to go do something. It could be eating that piece of cake, okay? It takes 90 seconds to stop that feeling. It takes 90 seconds to stop that feeling. Okay? So if you have an urge to do whatever it is, doesn't matter what the urge is. Okay? Could be a bad habit, could be something that you just want to change. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. Okay? All you have to do is pause for 90 seconds. That's a minute and a half. Can you hold back for a minute and a half? So my clients get to shut it off like this. They can shut it off like that. And what I tell them is they will acquire the switch. The switch is simply turn it off. Disconnect. Become the observer. Okay, we talked about that yesterday. The difference between being the observer and being awareness. You are awareness. And that's why you're aware of your thoughts. That's why you can observe yourself while you're speaking. You don't have to dedicate your whole mind to what you're speaking about. Good morning, Holiday. Good morning. Nice to see you too. When you're driving, it's all subconscious. When you're driving, you ever drive like Monday through Friday, right? You drive to work. You're going to work. Okay. On Saturday, you want to go to the store. And you start driving to work and you have to correct your direction. You go, oh my gosh, I'm driving to work. right? You wanted to go to the store, but because the majority of the time you drive to work, Monday through Friday, you just got through driving to work every day. Now, Saturday, you want to go to the store. What happens? You start driving to work subconsciously. This is all subconscious. So, those are some examples. Okay, now let me give you, before I go, let me give you some frequencies. So, it's important to realize that so here's the 50 percentile. Okay, this is 50-50. Good over here, bad over here, positive here, negative here, whatever you want to call that, okay? But the highest frequency here on the good side is love. Okay, the lowest frequency on this side, it's not hate. It's not hate. It's fear. Okay? All the lower vibrations are rooted in fear, and all the highest vibrations are rooted in love. Okay, now let's go from the 50 percentile up to love. Okay? Satisfaction, hope, enthusiasm, excitement, passion, joy, gratitude, peace, and love at the very top. Now, let's go down. Okay, from the 50 percentile. It starts with worry. Are you worried about something? Worrying is like praying for something bad to happen. Why? Because your focus is that thing. That thing that's going to go wrong, or that you think is going to go wrong. And most of the time it's your imagination. But you're worried about it. So you're focused about it. Okay? That's why you don't want to worry. Okay, so it starts with worry, then irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and then fear way down here at the bottom. Those are the frequencies of people and emotions. And while we're discussing it, I will tell you that the eyes are the mirrors of the soul, and the voice is the mirror of the feelings and emotions. If you know how to read a pair of eyes, when you see the energy in the eyes, and you know how to listen to a voice, you can tell a lot about a person. Is the person that you're speaking with, do they have a tight voice? If they have a tight voice, they're tight in here. Human beings don't just stress on the outside. When you go to a massage therapist and they go, oh, dude, you're stressed, or oh, girl, you're stressed. Human beings stress all the way through, not just on the outside. Do you know somebody that speaks with a breathy voice? Take a look at them. Okay, they're open. They're more open. They're using a lot of air. They're extroverted with their voice, like that. The people that talk like this, they kind of like that, and they kind of like have tight voices when they talk to you like this. They're tight in here. They're stressed in here. Anyway, so we've come to another end of our live. Thank you, Jay. So we've come to another end of our life. For our, we want to say goodbye to our international crew, which is we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Trovo in Europe, we're on Twitch, and we're on 2 Facebook pages and Instagram. So we want to say aloha, aloha from Hawaii. And I hope some of this information helps you. If you want to get a hold of me, it's hereforyoulifecoaching.com. You can write to me, and I'll answer your email for free, junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Okay, you can also do a 30-minute consultation with me. There's no strings. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. But I will give you 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I will give you a plan that will change your entire life. Guaranteed. But you have to do it.